Hey there, and welcome back to Broke Up, Not Broken. If you're going through a divorce, do not worry because you are not alone. I've been there too. This is your one-stop shop for mastering your finances throughout the entire divorce process. In today's episode, this one's near and dear to my heart. We're going to be walking you through the process and talking about hiring the right financial advisor for you. So whether you're just starting to consider divorce or you're in the thick of it, this episode is going to equip you with the knowledge and tools that you'll need to find the perfect fit for your particular situation. So grab a cup of coffee, your beverage of choice, buckle up, and let's get financially empowered. Alrighty. We are finding the right financial professional today. Again, my name is Jamie Lima. I am a certified financial planner. So again, this is near and dear to my heart, but I'm also a certified divorce financial analyst, a CDFA. And our job is to help folks navigate all the financial nuances of a divorce at my company called Allegiant Divorce Solutions. So I also do some work in traditional retirement planning and that type of thing, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. But for the purposes of our discussion today, we're going to be spending some time talking about the role of a CDFA and how to find the right one for you. So why do you need a financial professional in divorce? We have this conversation with people all the time, and it may seem counterintuitive to have to hire not only legal advice for some of you to get through a divorce, especially when it's contested and there's a lot of challenges that are involved, but also to spend money on getting financial help through the divorce process. I'm going to say this with all due respect to all the attorneys that are out there and all the attorneys that are listening. This is not a dig and I'm not throwing any shade towards you, but the reality is that these divorce attorneys that are out there do not understand the financial nuances of a divorce like a certified divorce financial analyst and then also a financial planner just like myself, right? They just don't understand it. They don't understand the difference between a 401k and an IRA or a 457 plan or a 403b plan or a pension plan, CalSTRS, CalPERS, FERS, a lot of acronyms that I'm going to throw out there, but some of you will recognize those acronyms and some of those names. There's not going to be a test at the end of this, so just bear with me on that. But the reality is that the attorneys just don't understand it. I had a conversation with somebody just earlier today, who wanted somebody to give up a Roth IRA against a traditional IRA. They wanted to just say, okay, like I'm gonna keep, your husband should keep the Roth IRA, and you should keep your traditional IRA, your individual retirement account. They're both about equal dollar-wise. So let's just, sign the papers and move on. And I had to tell them, like, listen, let's hold the brakes, pump the brakes here. This is not equal, because you have to factor things in like the taxes that are involved with those types of accounts. You also have to factor in certain things like required minimum distributions that you're going to be responsible for taking at the age of 72 from a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k. We don't have to get into the weeds of these different types of accounts. We'll talk about those in other podcasts. So subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe and follow along, because we're going to be diving deep into some of these concepts in future episodes. But ultimately, what it comes down to is having a financial professional on your side does a couple things. One, it helps you ensure that you're not going to step in any financial landmines. Like you have no idea what's out there, what you're headed in, what's in front of you as you start to go down the path of finalizing your divorce. And some things could trip you up, and your attorney is just not going to be there to help you answer the questions that you have. And what I've also found is that because it takes attorneys a lot longer to do this work, you spend a lot more money. So it may seem counterintuitive to hire someone like myself to help you on the financial side when you're already paying your attorney gobs of money to handle the legal aspects of things. But if you use a specialist in each area, attorneys for the legal stuff and us for the financial stuff, what I've seen historically is that you can usually come out on the other side with a much fairer and more equitable settlement, and you're also going to keep more money in your pocket. We can help with things like valuing assets, financial planning after divorce, right? One day the divorce is going to be over and you're going to probably need some help. And that's where the certified financial planner designation, the one that I have, and in the traditional retirement planning world, that's where we use that designation, right? So not only as a CDFA can I help you, and folks like me can help you during the divorce, but they can also, if they have a CFP designation and they do traditional retirement planning like we do, we can also help you after the divorce settles. And it's not always about retirement. It could be things like helping you just navigate some of the different types of accounts you're going to need to open and how you're going to transfer those monies from one account to another if you've received some funds from a 401k or an IRA or a brokerage account during the divorce. Lawyers can certainly help you with the legal complexities, but I want to make sure that, and they're going to make sure that your rights are protected and they're going to represent you in court and so on. But we can also come in as an expert witness and provide expert testimony on your behalf. And that can go a long way in front of a judge when there's a financial expert in the room that can explain why things are the way they are and why we're making an argument for you in the way that we are, and really just break it down for them, coming from kind of a neutral third party. So it's incredibly important aspect. And we as CDFAs need to do a better job of educating the public on this role and the work that we do. And that's really my job. And the whole impetus for having this discussion today is to help share with you that this type of person, this service, this resource exists, and we're here to help. One of the big things that you're going to want to make sure you focus on when you start researching advisors, both financial planners and CDFAs like myself, you have to make sure that they have the right credentials and experience. And I see people get jammed up on this all the time. Each advisor that is out there is normally registered with a company called FINRA, 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 which is the Financial Regulatory Association. And FINRA is out there to oversee all of us as advisors. Those of us that have our Series 7 and some of the other series licenses that you may or may not have heard of, that's our oversight committee. They have information on our background, our experience, basically like it's an online repository for all the advisors that are out there. And it'll show you disclosures that may exist. It'll show you, again, in the employment history and so on. So you should start there. That's an amazing place to start, because it'll tell you if any of us have disclosures out there. I do not. And I'm proud to say that almost 20 years of doing this, I do not have any disclosures on my record, which is I'm super proud of. And then there's the IDFA, the Institute for Divorce Financial Analysts, that oversee us as CDFAs. You can go to their website. You can go to the IDFA website and and search for us as advisors there to make sure we've maintained our continuing education, that we've maintained ongoing expertise in divorce-related matters, you name it. There's a lot of information that's out there. So I would encourage you, and I say this a lot in these podcasts, is to use your resources, right? If you're looking for someone that is going to help you through the divorce process, you need to make sure you find someone who has experience working with clients going through a divorce. The average financial planner that's out there doesn't have this kind of experience, which is crazy, because you'd think that someone who has 100 or maybe even 200, at one point I had 400 clients that I was working for when I was working with a big name company. Many of those people are going to go through a divorce at one point in the relationship. So you should have some experience here. But a lot of financial planners out there do not. And they don't understand, like the attorneys, they don't understand the nuances of a divorce and how to divide up assets the right way, how to calculate child and spousal support, all those things. That's where we as CDFA specialists come in. So you want to find somebody who has experience there and is also going to abide by a certain standard of conduct, right? Many of the advisors that are out there, and I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain right now, many of the advisors that are out there do not have to abide by a fiduciary standard. They do not have to abide by a fiduciary standard. I'm going to repeat that. And the big difference is, well, first let me explain what a fiduciary is. A fiduciary has to give you advice that is always in your best interest, that is the highest and best advice that they can give you, and they have to avoid conflicts of interest at all costs, right? So when you're interviewing a financial advisor, I want you to ask them if they're a fiduciary and what their code of conduct is and what some of their codes, the standards by which they have to abide by are. In many cases, they have to abide by what's called a suitability standard. A suitability standard just means that the advice or the guidance that they give you is suitable for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to get paid on the back end. They're not going to get paid on the front end. There aren't commissions involved. They're not selling a proprietary product to you. They're not avoiding conflicts of interest. None of those things exist. They just have to abide by a suitability standard. As a certified divorce financial analyst and a certified financial planner, we are bound by the fiduciary standard, and we have to sign an oath saying as such. Okay, that is a big deal. We don't take kickbacks. There are no sales quotas. There's no commissions involved. None of that stuff in the work that we do. We are an advocate for you, and that is what I'd be looking for. So when you start interviewing interviewing a financial advisor, I would start with the IDFA website. We're going to have links to all this stuff, up for you to review, but they have a searchable directory for CDFAs, just like myself. So you can pick one that's in your state. We work with people in all 50 states. We also mediate in all 50 states. Okay. Because we don't have to abide by local laws and statutes relative to your particular jurisdiction, right? We have to understand the laws. Let me take that back. I said that wrong. We don't have to. We have to, of course, abide by all the laws, but we don't have to be an expert in them all. We just have to understand that 2 + 2 still equals 4 in Illinois or Indiana or Texas or Florida or California, right? We're handling the financial aspects of the divorce. So as long as the math adds up and we understand the community property laws and the separate property, equitable division laws that are out there, which is very, very easy to understand, we're totally fine. So we can work in all 50 states. If you want to work face-to-face with somebody, you can certainly go to the IDFA website and find somebody in your neighborhood. You can also visit our website to book some time with us to chat through your situation. The link is in the show notes as well, and I'll give it to you at the end here as well. NAPFA, the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, NAPFA is also a helpful resource. And once you find somebody who you think might be a fit for you, and you've had an interview with them and you've asked them about the suitability standard versus the fiduciary standard, which one do they abide by? You've asked them about some of their experience, right? You want to know about their experience, their qualifications. What are some of the fees that you're going to incur working with them? How many times a year are you going to be able to work with them? Some companies out there will only let you work with them, a few times a year when you might need them more than that. And when we start working together in a divorce engagement, we're effectively at your beck and call. So there's no limit to the number of times that we can communicate or we can meet. But in a traditional financial planning setting, you may be limited to just a couple meetings a year, which I still to this day find odd. You want to make sure when you sit with somebody, especially in what our process is, the very first meeting that we're going to have is what we call an "Are we a fit?" meeting. We're going to go through just some initial introductory questions and just get to know you as a person and understand where you're coming from. What are some of the things you're looking for, and can we really drive value to you as our client? And then if we decide to move forward mutually, then we'll start to onboard you as a client. We'll start to gather some more information from you. And then we conduct what's called a Get Organized meeting. In that Get Organized meeting, that's where we're going to sit together and look through all of your financial documents. We'll review them together. And we're going to make sure that the information that we have in our software that we use to do the financial planning in divorce has all the accurate information. And then once we've dotted those I's and crossed those T's, then we can start using the data that we have to help you work towards settlement and final negotiations and final settlement. A traditional financial planning engagement is very, very similar. They're going to talk to you and learn more about who you are, your goals and objectives, and so on. And it's during that time, I want you to really, really get an understanding of who they are as well, right? You want to talk about your financial situation and your goals. And this is a tough one sometimes, but I want you to trust your gut and choose the advisor that you feel most comfortable with, right? I think we can follow our gut in this one, and we're all pretty good readers of body language. We're all pretty good. We have a pretty good intuition when it comes to how we're going to get along with somebody, and that's what you really want. You want someone you can get along with, and is going to be there to answer your questions, and is really just going to make you feel like a part of their family, and they're there to serve you. And that's what we really try to do, both in my traditional wealth management company and at Allegiant Divorce Solutions, where we do our divorce financial planning. Again, I think it's very important to go back to clarifying this very, very hopefully obvious now distinction between the services that are offered by financial advisors and attorneys. Financial advisors focus on the financial aspects of divorce, will help you with asset division, lifestyle analysis, post-divorce financial planning, transition service. That's, again, where we're going to help you open up the right accounts and transfer money from, maybe your ex-spouse to your new account. We'll help you start looking at budgets and cash flow and things of that nature. Obviously, that's not going to be in the realm of what lawyers do. They're going to be there to help you handle the legal aspects of things like, child custody, spousal support, property division negotiations. But we're there to support you through the financial aspects of those conversations as well. It works best, and I will say this again, with all due respect for the attorneys that are out there, it works best when the attorney is collaborative. When they recognize that they have a shortfall and they don't let ego get in the way of them doing the job that they've been hired to do for you. Unfortunately, only about 50% of the attorneys that we've worked with feel that way. The other 50% are kind of like, well, you know what? I've got this. I've been doing this a long time. This is not my first rodeo. I'm going to do things the way that I've always done them. And we don't really need a CDFA to come help us. Well, I feel like they're kind of doing their client a disservice in many respects, because we do have a lot of value to add. And frankly, again, no offense, we can do the work faster and more efficiently than the attorneys can, because this is our wheelhouse. We've been trained, we've been educated, we have the experience. We've seen, at least in my case, I've been doing this 20 years. I've seen thousands upon thousands of tax returns and bank records, account statements from brokerage firms, and so on. There's not a lot that can get past us when you have that level of experience. It's very easy for it to be overlooked by attorneys. I would never try to step in the realm of negotiations and depositions and things of that nature. That's just not who I am. That's not what I've been trained to do. That's not how I've been educated. So I find it odd that some attorneys out there will take it upon themselves to become the financial person when that's not their area of expertise either. That being said, I think it is incredibly important to add an attorney and maybe even just let them just take the reins if you think it is going to be an incredibly high conflict divorce, right? Every divorce, there's conflict. Don't get me wrong. But I think if this is going to be a knock them out, down, drag them out, it can very well, it may make sense to bring on an attorney and let them take over some of the stuff. I think we can still help in some areas of the financial side, but if you have legal issues regarding multiple businesses, or there might be things like domestic violence involved, I feel like we can still help on the financial side of things, but it would behoove you to consider using an attorney as well. And I'm saying this because not every case needs an attorney. I have 3 cases that are going on right now where they're doing it on their own with a little bit of help from me. It doesn't always have to be super high conflict. In the cases where it is, and there's some violence involved or financial fraud, things of that nature, you may want to consider hiring both of us, right? But it's not always necessary. So we talked about a lot, right? We talked about the differences between an attorney and a financial advisor, the role of a financial advisor in divorce. We talked about how to find a financial advisor. Remember, FINRA is going to be your best friend when you're searching for a new financial advisor because they have all of our background information. The IDFA, companies like NAPFA, the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, which is going to be there you can search for us there, search for an advisor in your hometown or one that works virtually like we do. There are a ton of resources out there. If you have questions about this stuff, I want you to leverage the resources that you have in us. You can go to the website, allegiantds.com, and you can book a session with me there, a 30-minute complimentary and confidential session with me where we'll just break down your situation and see if we can help, or at least I'll point you in the right direction. There's also a lot of free resources on the website where you can go and download workbooks and even some IRS documents that you're going to need that are going to help you through the divorce. There's a ton of free resources on there. You don't have to put your first name, last name, email address in. We're not going to spam you. It's all literally free. And you go to the website, pull down all the PDFs, and move on with your day, right? I want you to, so if this is helpful, I hope it is, because this is an area that's near and dear to my heart. If this is helpful for you, I want you to subscribe, follow us, like us, whatever you have to do, whatever modality you're using, follow along, because we're going to keep dropping episodes like this every Wednesday morning. So you can listen in on your ride on the way to work, on the ride home, save it and listen to it over the weekend. We have a few awesome guests that are coming up in the next few weeks, and I have about 25 other topics that I've already got ready to go that I think we're going to be able to just really dive in and really, really help a lot of people. So again, I'm Jamie Lima with Allegiant Divorce Solutions, a certified divorce financial analyst, certified financial planner, and I'm on a mission to help people better prepare for and navigate and recover from divorce. And I will see you again in our next episode.